Hi, this is Sherry Veronica. The court has ordered the removal of any barriers at the Joes River Bridge. Now, I'm sure that you have heard about this before, where people were protesting the guard walls that the owner of the land, was putting up, and he was also trying to do some sort of wellness in the teacup area, the teacup and saucer area, where he was going to do some concrete structures and have organic, wellness kind of place that you can, from the top, you can look down and see what's going on. And all of that has stopped. The owner of the land has said that he paid a lot of money to actually repair the bridge. The bridge was, in a way, impassable, and the people in the area, Bathsheba area, had to wait for low tide to access that particular river and the waterway. But since this particular person bought the land and repaired the bridge, the people in the area are better off, but yet he lost. Let's look at this straight on. This kind of litigation usually takes centuries in Barbados, usually. But you know that there are two sections of Mayor Motley's political setup where she needs to have people to represent in those areas. One is in St. Thomas and the other one is in St. Joseph. Okay, this guy, Nichols, the attorney, he has stepped forward to be the candidate in St. Thomas. I think you're still waiting to see who is going to step forward for St. Joseph. But if you're looking at this thing straight on, it seems as though the quickness, the speed of this particular order would indicate that it was politically sped up, put it that way. It was politically sped up. Okay, so the plans are blocked for the owner, and in a way, you can see the owner appealing this decision, because they're saying to me that the owner had 4 top lawyers, and it's like shocking that this particular happening happened and so quickly, and they are expecting that the owner is going to appeal, especially since some of the people who live in the area, they feel empowered by this decision. They feel as though they have a right to make things open up on the man's property. They're trying to say, well, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, on the property. But in truth and in fact, the guy owns the property. The owner of that property is the owner of the property. Okay? So we have to watch to see what Richard Haines, the owner of the property, you have to wait to see how he's going to move, since the order permanently is restraining him. Permanently is restraining him from putting up any obstruction of whatever kind, into perpetuity. You have to wait to see, because he has claimed he spent a whole lot of money doing what was done, especially since he actually repaired the bridge. So the people in the area, to me, they're lucky. To me, they're getting something for free with the repair of the bridge. They got that for free. And it doesn't seem real. I'm looking and I'm talking to people, and I'm trying to digest the information I'm getting. It doesn't seem real. It seems as though there was some sort of hand in this whole thing. Patrick Wells, the High Court judge, Patrick Wells, is the one who issued the order, and this is something that they thought was going to come about in December of this year, December-ish, later, and it happened before. I'm telling you, I'm telling you that maybe because of elections and the fact that the B, as in boy LP, is going to be installing someone to run for that area pretty soon, that would make the people in the area very warm and welcoming to the BLP, because here it is that the BLP, they have handed them, the right of way to a bridge that was falling apart, that is not repaired. So they have been handed like a gift. So, it's like that time of year. It's the season. The season is here. So yeah, I'm going to be talking to some people offline, and I'm going to be taking notes on this particular matter. As you can see, the guy, what's his name? The entertainer, he's not mentioned. He has a case pending against him where he violated this, not, what's the word? Otherly abled, differently abled child. Yes. What's his name? You know the person's name. I have his face in my mind, but I cannot remember his name. But remember, he was there. The people called him to speak on their behalf, and lo and behold, he was hauled before the court for doing something that is probably one of the worst crimes that could actually be committed against a child, and he is working on that part of his life right now. But yeah, let's wait and see what more comes out of this Joe's River lawsuit. This is a win for the people. People are saying that they're anticipating that Richard Haines, the owner of the land, will sue, and it's probably going to come about after elections or whatever. But he put a whole lot of money in what is happening in that area, in the bridge. He put a whole lot of money in repairs. And like I said, the people who are walking over that bridge right now, I wonder what they think. What do they think? What are they thinking? What they're thinking. Because the land has always been there. You can't take land up and fold it up and put it in your suitcase and take it anywhere. It's always there. So when people come in with money and they fix things, then you show up to say, hey, you fixed it, but you fixed it for our benefit. You cannot tell us you can't do this or you can't do that. And in a way, you would expect that there would not have been any barriers for the people to get to the river. But what were they using before he came along, before Richard Haines came along? How were they doing? Were they waiting for low tide and then they did the back way? But now they don't have to wait for low tide. They can go across the bridge and hit it from a different angle. There's a lot of different moving parts in this particular matter. The 48-page judgment, it was delivered yesterday, and it was they said it was the conclusion of the case, but it's not really done until the FAT woman sings. You know how they say that. So there is an appeal process, and people are thinking that Richard Haines, he will appeal. Okay, so we have to wait for that eventuality. And again, I'm saying that I think it happened with a speed that you don't usually see, and it's because elections, that's in the air, that the elections are going to be called, and all that feeling is in the air. And Mia Motley is yet to put someone, because the person who was for St. Thomas is no longer there. They retired. Who was for St. Thomas? Dale Marshall was for Cynthia Ford and Dale Marshall. Yeah, the two, I don't know which one was for St. Thomas. I think maybe it was Dale Marshall, maybe. Okay, but those two are no longer part of the lineup in Mia Motley's administration. Cynthia Ford and Attorney General Dale Marshall, they are resigning. They're not contesting their seats coming election. So, Gregory Nichols, he is in for St. Thomas. You have to wait to see who is going to be throwing their hat in for St. Joseph, and St. Joseph is the place where this Joe Rivers bridge thing was all, you know, the whole dust up was all about, and it was handled pretty quickly. But it's not over until the FAT woman sings. Let's see what Richard Haines does and how that how everything is going to pan out. Okay, this is Shelly Veronica.
Help me spread the word about Naked Departure via social media. Subscribe and share to show support and love for our channels.